In ancient Rome, food was not only a necessity but also a symbol of power and status. While most Romans lived on a simple diet consisting of bread, oil, wine, and legumes, the Roman elite enjoyed exotic and luxurious banquets that dazzled everyone around them. Can you imagine what the emperors, senators, and Roman aristocrats ate? Today, we will dive into the most exclusive delicacies of ancient Rome, those sophisticated dishes that not only represented luxury but also the absolute power of those who consumed them. Join us as we discover the most extravagant foods of the Roman elite and how these banquets reflected the social hierarchy in ancient Rome. One of the greatest status symbols among the Roman elite was the consumption of rare and hard-to-obtain birds. These birds were not only a feast for the palate but also a clear sign of power and wealth. Among the most coveted were flamingos. Considered a true delicacy, their tongues were especially prized. This exotic dish not only impressed with its taste but also with its exclusivity. Flamingo hunting was expensive and difficult, making its consumption a luxury reserved only for the wealthiest. The flamingo tongues were prepared with honey, vinegar, and rare herbs, creating a sweet and sour dish that dazzled guests at the most exclusive banquets. But beyond their taste, what really made these birds so valuable was the ostentation they represented. Peacocks were also highly valued, not only for their meat but for their presence as living decoration in Roman gardens. These majestic birds were kept alive as a symbol of luxury before being sacrificed for dinner. And it wasn't just flamingos and peacocks that made their way onto the menu. Swans, though less common, were also served at special feasts, roasted and prepared with the utmost care that such an exclusive delicacy deserved. Another gastronomic delight that only the Roman elite could afford was sea urchins. Considered a sophisticated delicacy, these shellfish were prized for their intense flavor and creamy texture, making them a true delicacy. Sea urchins were primarily consumed raw, although they were also used in soups and sauces. They were seasoned with vinegar and aromatic herbs, adding a unique and refined touch to Roman banquets. The high cost of sea urchins and the difficulty of transporting them made them a true rarity. Only the wealthiest could afford this exclusive delicacy, making it a symbol of luxury and sophistication at the most important events. This delicacy not only impressed with its taste but also with its ability to showcase the purchasing power of the person serving it. Wealthy Romans knew that a banquet with sea urchins was a banquet that not only delighted the palate but also left a strong impression on the guests. The African antelope was one of the most exotic meats served at the banquets of the Roman elite. This animal, brought from the provinces of North Africa, not only represented the grandeur of the empire but also offered soft and sophisticated meat. The Romans considered the meat of the antelope a delicacy comparable to game meat but with a milder and more refined taste. For the most exclusive banquets, antelopes were roasted whole, prepared with honey, wine, and rare spices imported from the east. In addition to roasting, antelope was also used in stews, where it was combined with dried fruits such as figs and pomegranates, further enhancing its flavor. The high cost of the antelope and its rarity made it one of the most coveted meats, reserved only for major celebrations, where the wealthy flaunted their connection to the farthest lands of the empire. Camel meat was not common in Rome, but on occasion, it appeared at the most exclusive banquets, especially as an exotic gift brought from the provinces of the Middle East and North Africa. The Romans believed camel meat had a strong and distinctive flavor, so it was slow-cooked in wine broths and herbs to soften its taste. Rare spices like pepper and honey were used to balance its intensity and create a unique dish. In addition to the meat, camel milk was also prized, especially in the production of rare cheeses that only the wealthiest could enjoy. Camel meat was served on special occasions, symbolizing wealth and access to the most exotic goods of the empire. Wealthy Romans were not only distinguished by their access to exotic meats but also by their ability to enjoy exclusive fruits and vegetables grown in private gardens. These fresh and high-quality foods were essential at Roman elite banquets. Among the most valued fruits were fresh figs, which were eaten both in their natural form and caramelized with honey. Grapes, in addition to being used to make wine, were a very common snack among the wealthiest. Roman women also used grapes to adorn their banquets as a symbol of luxury. Pomegranates, on the other hand, were a symbol of fertility and luxury, and were served whole or as an ingredient in various sophisticated dishes. Dates and walnuts were especially popular in desserts, combined with honey and spices to create sweets that left a lasting impression. Additionally, vegetables like artichokes and asparagus were considered refined, cooked with olive oil and rare spices, making them a delicacy reserved only for the wealthiest. One of the most impressive dishes at Roman elite banquets was roasted boar, or javali asidou. This delicacy stood out not only for its strong and succulent flavor but also for its ability to demonstrate power and status among the wealthiest Romans. The roasted boar was cooked whole, often stuffed with dried fruits, nuts, and aromatic herbs to enhance its flavor. Honey and wine were frequently used in the preparation to make the meat even juicier and more delicious. This dish was not only served as a feast for the palate but also as a display of opulence. Decorated with fruits in the boar's mouth, this dish was a centerpiece at high-level banquets, where hosts made sure to impress their guests with the magnitude of their wealth. Roasted boar became a symbol of luxury, reserved for special occasions and exclusive events where Romans showcased their power and good taste to the world. A curiosity about the Roman elite was the consumption of meat from animals killed during gladiator shows. Lions, tigers, leopards, and even elephants were hunted and killed in the arena, and afterward, their meat was served at the most exclusive banquets. The wealthy Romans enjoyed these exotic delicacies, even though their taste was not always the best. To mask the wild taste of these animals, the meat was cooked with strong sauces and spices. This practice once again reflected the ostentation and desire to show power through the consumption of rare and unique foods. Furthermore, some historians suggest that this meat, often distributed among citizens, served as a way for the emperor to display generosity, offering it to reinforce his public image. The consumption of gladiatorial animal meat was just one of the many ways the rich Romans distinguished themselves from the lower classes, ensuring that their banquets were both a gastronomic celebration and a display of their status. In Rome, the consumption of fish and seafood was not exclusive to the elite, but the wealthiest Romans took this taste to a whole new level, seeking the rarest fish and the most expensive seafood for their banquets. Garum, a fermented fish sauce, became an essential ingredient in Roman cuisine. The more expensive and sophisticated the garum, the higher the host's prestige. But not only the sauce, but also the most exquisite fish, like lampreys, were highly valued in Roman high society. Lampreys, often raised in private tanks within the villas of the wealthy Romans, were considered an exclusive delicacy. These fish were cooked whole and served on special occasions, often accompanied by elaborate sauces. Oysters, another luxury on the Roman table, were brought fresh from different parts of the empire. Served raw, accompanied by vinegar and herbs, oysters were a symbol of distinction and sophistication. Additionally, lobsters were another of the most desired seafood dishes at Roman banquets, served as main courses or as a side dish at gala dinners. While most Romans ate simple bread made from wheat or barley, the Roman elite enjoyed a much more refined variety of breads and cheeses. White bread, made from pure wheat flour, was a luxury reserved only for the wealthiest. This soft and fluffy bread was served at banquets as a status symbol. Poor Romans, on the other hand, ate more rustic bread made from coarser, darker flours. White bread represented the difference between social classes, and its consumption in large quantities was a sign of wealth. Cheeses, especially goat or sheep cheeses, were also highly prized at Roman banquets. These cheeses, aged and consumed in small portions as appetizers, were an exclusive delicacy for high society. The consumption of bread and cheese at banquets reflected not only good taste but also the host's ability to offer the best to their guests. These foods, though simpler than exotic meats, were essential to completing a luxurious banquet. No Roman elite banquet would be complete without a selection of refined wines and rare drinks. Wine, of course, was consumed by all social classes, but the wealthiest had access to the best harvests and the most sophisticated blends. Falernian wine, considered the best wine in ancient Rome, was extremely expensive and only served on special occasions. This exclusive wine represented luxury and prestige, and only the most powerful hosts could afford to offer it at their banquets. Other drinks, such as msan, a mixture of wine and honey, were served as a welcome drink at banquets. These drinks were not only delicious but also showcased the host's ability to offer the best to their guests. Another curiosity of Roman banquets was the consumption of perfumed water, mixed with rose petals and other essences. This water was served between courses to cleanse the palate, adding a touch of elegance and refinement to the culinary experience. Through these opulent banquets, the wealthiest Romans not only satisfied their hunger but also exhibited their power, wealth, and status. Food in ancient Rome was much more than a simple gastronomic pleasure, it was a way to show who was truly the greatest in the empire. From exotic flamingos to the most sophisticated drinks and seafood, Roman banquets were a competition of luxury and ostentation. Every dish served had a purpose, to impress, dazzle, and reinforce social hierarchy. Although today some of these delicacies may seem extravagant, we cannot deny that Roman culture left a culinary legacy that continues to fascinate us. The consumption of these delicacies was just one side of the power and splendor of an empire that dominated the known world for centuries. If you were surprised by the gastronomic luxuries of ancient Rome, don't forget to like, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment. Which Roman dish would you like to try? See you in the next video.